Looks like the escape of Shepherd Bushiri from South Africa to Malawi could create a diplomatic spat between our country and the government of Malawi, while our authorities are angry that Bushiri broke our laws by escaping. The Malawian government has accused our authorities of treating their president, Lazarus Chikwera, with disrespect, because we wouldn't let his plane transport his advance party from Waterkloof Air Force Base. It seems as the plane was about to leave, it suddenly ended up carrying a lot more people than it arrived with. In the end, there was a compromise. The plane flew to our Tambo International to pick them up. Dr Charles Sinkala is an international relations consultant. Dr Sinkala, good afternoon to you. There seems to be a lot of frustration all around between our government, the Malawian government. Does the Malawian government have a point about being frustrated with how they were treated by our government?
Yes, thank you very much for having me. Yes, the president of Malawi's Chikwera's plane was supposed to leave at 3 o'clock, scheduled probably 3:30, but it was delayed for 7 hours, and I can understand their frustration as a head of state. The protocol should have been done much better than the way they did, of searching the plane 3 times. The airport, where the plane was, it's a more secured place. It's army base. So I think the people who are going in and out were seen, and the plane was there all the time during his visit to South Africa. So there was actually no point of doing the sweep, which they did, especially for taking that 7 hours.
I mean, that's one way of looking at it. I mean, another way to look at it might be Bushiri suddenly goes missing. As I understand it, there's suddenly a lot more people on the plane than there were when they arrived. I mean, I've been using this phrase a lot today, but people would be very cynical. I would want to have a quick look at that plane.
Yes, definitely. As the police have likely mentioned that he was supposed to report on Friday, but the story doesn't tie up with because the last time he's supposed to report on Friday was 1800 hours, and at that time they started searching the plane was about 3 p.m. So it could have been that they had the information which suggested that this trip, it's not an isolated trip. Because of the relations with the Malawi, we haven't had any visitation from the head of state from Malawi, and his visitation was something of a concern. However, though the government has confirmed through the Minister of Home Affairs that this meeting was established a long time ago. President Chikwera only came into power sometime June, July. So you wonder when the meeting was scheduled. But even saying that, it's just the way that they handled it. And I think Malawi or South Africa as well, in terms of security, where protocol is concerned, when there's a security threat in the country, the whole protocol gets suspended. But, they should have been informed in the way that they understand, because similar issue can happen in Malawi if it was a situation on the other side where South Africa was visiting Malawi. There must just be a transparency of understanding. But what is happening now in terms of diplomatic bilateral relationship, they are communicating through the media. The press conference, or rather the committee, Home Affairs Committee, where the Minister, Aaron Swaredi, presented this morning, was more of something that they did not have much facts and some information. I can pick up one where the Minister mentioned that Bushiri had 5 passports, but, the government and the media, or rather the PA to Bushiri, mentioned that Bushiri was traveling a lot, and those passports, some of them were actually full of papers, and it just does not really make sense that Malawian government can issue 5 passports to one person. They normally issue 1 passport until it expires or something happens, but he had also a recent diplomatic passport, so that makes suggestions and is the connection as well to President Chikwera as a clergy, as a pastor. They must have been communicating. So there could be more things that we do not know, and the fight in the media, we can only speculate. But I think South African government should not be now in the media. They should pull back and try to investigate so that the bilateral agreements are not damaged.
Sure. Well, I mean, Dr Sinkala, yeah, maybe, again, to take the South African side, and I think I must in this, I mean, we're the ones with egg on our faces. We're the ones, this guy, this Malawian national, broke our laws. He took money from our people. That's the allegation against him. He denies it. And he escaped. I mean, he has basically, the old English phrase is cocked a snook. He has basically laughed in our faces at our criminal justice system. And you and I both know the Malawian government aren't going to give him up.
Of course they're not going to go. You know, Stephen, you remember the case regarding Grace Mugabe in Santander, and, when the South African government couldn't do anything, after some time then they decided that, they must extradite Grace Mugabe. By then President Mugabe refused. He said, the crime was committed in your country, and I'm not going to give away my wife for you to go and prosecute her there. Why did you take a stance there? And even talking about the extradition order, which they are seeking through Interpol and various Vienna Convention of 1961 Bilateral Agreement Act, some of the cases in Malawi, they are not extraditable, especially most of the cases Bushiri is facing. I'm sure he's laughing, yes, because of the porous systems, and easily people in government are easily corrupted to be swayed to these things. And I think South Africa shouldn't now be asking questions on how he left the country. We all know our borders, how they are. I think this is a test that South African government should now rethink on how the system can be prevented going forward, and especially in terms of the awarding of bail from the justice system. They must involve all the security clusters and make sure that everybody gives a routing go ahead and sign off that it is okay, you can issue a bail or not, so that everybody's concerned.
Dr Sinkala, you can't have government ministers deciding on bail. That's why we have a criminal justice system and an independent judiciary. But I do understand the greater point that you're making. Thank you very much indeed for your time. International consultant Dr Charles Sinkala on your television screen there.